How a
Okay.
dog can teach you medical device engineering.
Yeah.
Brought to you by
I didn't
Loek.
understand. I
Gijben.
wouldn't have put it this way.
Did I pronounce it properly? Gijben?
What?
I attempted your last name.
Gijben.
Oh,
Sorry.
whatever.
Yeah. Whatever.
Gijben?
Gijben. The first vowel is, of the first consonant is like you're throwing up to something in your throat.
I
sticking.
got that.
And then Ivan, that's it.
Gijben.
Yeah.
The J is pretty much silent.
Yeah. No, they called it the long. Okay. Suppose what is a medical device? So this is one of the definitions. So if you have a composition for disability, and I think lack of vision accounts for something like that. If you have something that compensates that, then you make a medical device. So suppose we use something like this. It can follow you around. It has GPS. It knows where the shops are. It's like it's from Boston Dynamics, and he's called Spot. It's just an. I think if you would use it, you should apply it. You should use it as a medical device. So you have to comply to all the standards and all the regulation. And for this is the medical device regulation and the machine directive. But you can also do, of course, not use a device but a body. So I want you to meet Wieske, and maybe it's time to get the star of the show in front of the camera. Okay,
yes.
Just a moment. Okay, Wieske, here. Oh, I'm sorry. Can you still see it?
Yes, we can see it.
Oh, but
she's upside down.
She's upside down. Just a moment.
She doesn't seem very interested
okay.
in this presentation.
Wieske, hier. Hallo. Oh,
my
Wieske zit. Oh, goed zo. That's a nice.
Oh, that's good.
Oh,
Af. Nee, af. she just wants to cuddle me. Wieske, af. Okay, blijf. Wieske, plat.
Oh,
This is a nice command for plat. It's just flat on the ground, and that's if you want to check her for ticks or go to the vet or something like that. It can be handy. Blijf. Wieske, naast. So she has to stand beside me, so I can do the gear around her neck. And of course, what we try to do is to learn her how to always obey. So this is her sit. This is her food. And now we wait. Nah, we won't. Wieske af. Ah, that's nice. And she only starts to eat when you give her the free command. So, Wieske, vrij. And of course, these are some commands inside, but you also have the outside commands. And now I have to look for my... Okay, just a moment. Put it back onto my...
Well, that was a brilliant presentation.
Nah.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, oh, that's funny. Now you are a cat. I don't know what that's about.
Now, I'd be super impressed if he could train a cat to do all that.
Okay, but Wieske will go to school on Tuesday. And of course, we will miss her very much.
Oh,
but now we also have...
this is the end. Luke, remind, because not everyone knows this, and I was about to say, oh, goodness. So are you in a program where you are continually training new animals?
We are puppy foster home. So the dogs are owned by the Royal Dutch Guide Dog Fund. And they live at a puppy foster home for something more than a year. So you start by making them housebroken, and then you try to learn them some commands and to be, you socialize them at work and in the supermarket and every place where a blind person would go. And then after some time, when they're good enough, they go to school. So she goes to school on Tuesday, and then she gets training for something like a half a year by professional dog trainers. And then she learns that she is, when she's walking around, 1 meter wide and 2 meters high, so that she won't go under a beam and then the blind person will knock his head off. Or, she learns how to find the counter in a store. She learns how to cross the street, and that's more high school, the university training. So, and then after half a year, she goes to a blind person. And a lot of people, they ask us, don't you think isn't it hard when you have to say goodbye to such a nice dog after a year because you're so attached to it? And of course you are very attached to it, but you know it up front, it's not your dog. Even when they go to the blind, they still, the ownership is still at the guide dog funds, and so they only get them as in a how do you say it, in a loan. And then for us, it might be a little bit hard, but I met a blind person who says, for us, it's even harder because they're the companion for maybe 8 to 10 years, and then they have to say goodbye. And especially if they don't have any means for connecting to the old dog anymore, then they have to say goodbye and they don't see their dog back. At least we won't see Wieske for at least 2 years, and only if the blind person wants to contact us again, then we might get into contact. Because if you do it earlier, the dog can get into conflict of loyalty. So
actually, I never really thought about the fact that that a seeing eye dog is a perishable asset, and that a blind person may have to say goodbye to his eyes 6 times in his life.
Yeah,
that's so sad.
And the guide dog fund, well, Wieske is a mix. She's a mix between golden retriever and German shepherd, and that's why her ears are so funny, because for a German shepherd they're up, and for a retriever they're down, and for her they're like a bit halfway. And if she puts her ears back, she looks a little bit like Dobby from Harry Potter. So sometimes we call her Dobby. But for a puppy, when they're bred, then they cost about, say, 2,000 euros. And then they go to us, and we are guided with the help of the trainers at the Guide Dog Fund, and they come by and they test you and they say, we want you to do this with our dog, or we don't want you to do that with our dog. It's our dog, it's not your dog. So that's how they keep you in line. And sometimes when there are problems, they give you tips on how to do things different. And so that costs a lot of money too. So after 1.5 years, they cost about 5,000 to 6,000 euros. If they had their training at the university, so when they go to the blind person, they cost about 40,000 to 50,000 euros.
Oh my! So a blind person has to pay 40 to 50.
No, the way they do it, and it's like so for your business plan is the Guide Dog Fund works on gifts. So they have this funny little airtime where they have those lovely puppies and they try to raise money. So they're all on.
Oops, go ahead, continue. I pushed the wrong thing. I was trying to focus on you and not your slides.
You hate it when my camera is going.
No, not that at all. Okay. I was trying to remove the slides so we could focus on you.
Okay, I have to go back. Oh, sorry.
That's fine.
I want to go to medical device development because there's so many analogies. That is the process in making a good guide dog is it takes years, and you cannot make it much faster. I mean, there are people. There are managers who still think that if a woman can make make a child in 9 months, then with 9 women we can do it in 1 month. It doesn't work that way.
Mhm.
So
It's worth trying, no?
first trying now.
Well, this is a joke.
But also in medical device process development, all kind of managers, they go to the latest paradigm in development, and they want everyone wants to go to market quicker and beat the competition, but there's so much dead time and latency in the device development that it's much more fruitful to think in the beginning what you do.
Mm-hmm.
And because in the beginning, in your proof of concept, your pop phase or your puppy phase, then it only costs a few dollars. Then you can try to fail often, fail fast, and learn from it. But then at a certain point in your mouth, you have to do your change control, and then it gets more sluggier and more expensive. If you want to do a clinical evaluation, and you get your clinical evaluation report, that's really expensive, and it takes half a year or a year. And then you bring your device at your test house or a notified body or FDA for certification. If you want to change something there, then it's almost impossible. You have to. It's sometimes easier to go back and start up front again. And of course, if you have a recall because you failed something in the process, you can see the Philips, then it gets really expensive. So if you don't do device development, start up front with your good requirements and know what you want to do, and not say, let's try and we do on the way, we find out if we go this way or that way, because it gets expensive. And
that's a great analogy, and I'm going to do everything in my power, which is somewhat limited because I have no filter, to let you do your presentation and not ask you many questions about the dog.
Okay.
We'll save them to the end.
Yeah. And you need a realistic business planning, because I once had a manager and he said, if you ask for 6 weeks development time, I give you 4 because it becomes 6 weeks after all. I hated that. Mm-hmm. Because, and for that you can work for the short period, but suppose somebody says, we have to go to market in a year. You say, well, that's not feasible. Then you're a year further and they say, okay, we need another year, and maybe then another year. But because your intended time to market was a year, you make decisions based on a year. You say, we don't do that because we only have a year. Well, in fact, if you knew it would take 2 or 3 years, you would make different decisions. So you need a realistic business plan and planning. And if you have a new medical device, if you have a new invention, you must look at the dollar signs in each phase and know how much money you have to raise for each phase, and not say, go ahead and we raise the money when the time's when it's there, and you don't know how much money you have to raise because you don't know how much money your clinical evaluation will cost. So you have to plan that up first. You need a real good planning. And it all starts with the intended use. Like, this is a lady walking with a guide dog. And the reason why blind guide dogs are the summum of service dogs is because in a pack of dogs, usually the leader walks up front. And now the dog is walking up front, but you don't want to go to the park, you want to go to work. You don't want to go to the butcher, you want to go to the grocery. So the leadership of the pack of those two is very complicated and very, very fragile. And you start with working for that goal in the beginning, and you don't go say, let's do everything. Because I know a famous philosopher, she's called Diana Benson, and I want to quote her. She said, where is it? I walk them through the cost of what they want, multiply that with the amount of areas you want to sell. And it's about the same with how much you want to do with your device. You want to do everything, okay. Walk them through the cost, multiply it with every area, and then you're getting in a nice direction. And they do it a little bit with guide dogs, with the guide dog fund, because at the puppy phase, they have a physical test and a puppy test, and they say, this puppy is not suitable to be a guide dog because it doesn't, it's too sensitive or whatever. Then they can also be trained as a PTSS buddy dog for traumatic service people, or they can be trained as an ordinary service dog for disabled. So then they learn about 100 tricks, open the door, whatever. But it's totally different than raising it for a guide dog, because guide dog has that tremendous important task to lead the blind through the traffic over a station and all that kind of stuff. It's the same with medical devices. You start with your intended use, and you're not halfway think, well, it would be nice to use this at home as well, because then you have to go back to the drawing board and to redesign for the 60601-1-11, which you didn't do up front. And you see that you're missing all kind of stuff. So you've invented something and you want to make a new device. And what I found out is that the cuddliness factor is important. For the Royal Dutch Guide Dog Fund, the Koninklijk Nederlands Geleidehondenfonds, you see they all advertise with the lovely puppies and not with the big black dogs, because you raise more money with this. And it's the same with, you see this this person with the head cap and the goggles. The thing beside her is a device we made at TMSI, and it's made out of 20 pounds milled aluminum, and then it's sanded, and then it's anodized, and it looks beautiful. The housing alone costs $3,000. Then you have your housing of your medical device. And everybody said, you're crazy, but it did work as a silent cooling system. And it's so beautiful that everybody that it comes across want to touch it, want to feel it, and it sells. It's the same with the device with the 5 corners. That's a medical amplifier. It really looks good. It won a prize on design. And if you have something, especially in your prototype phase, if you have a big black box and it works like you intended, but it doesn't look good, it's very hard to sell it. And what you then have to do, you can either make something more beautiful and sell it and have people hold it in their hands, or you have to go to someone like you, Joe, make a good story and make nice visuals. And I think that it's the best that you can start this this video. Or shall I try it here? This is one of it's a customer of ours. It's Onward, and it's from it's a spin-off of the University of Lausanne in Switzerland. And what they did is they shoved
Luke, if the video is playing,
no, it's not playing. I put on
Okay.
play. Okay.
You
See the
click something
paralyzed
like
man
that.
walk again. It's from CNN Health.
Okay.
He's paralyzed from his waist down. Really, his spine has been. And what they did, they put a grid into his spine, and then they measured the signals coming from his brain, and then they put stimulation below the breech. You can see it doesn't look good to walking, but he walks, and it's so impressive to see somebody walk who is paralyzed from his waist down, that based on this video, I guess they raised about $100 million for making something like this. And my parent company is also involved in some of the products that Onward makes. and I cannot say much about it, but this only to see the video, it's so impressive and it's such a compelling story that you can make a lot of money from it and then go on with developing your device. But having a prototype in your hand for an investor does so much good for raising money. And if you have a good story then from how your development is going and have a knowledge about how much money it costs, it will go much easier. Then you start to develop and you need a quality management system. And actually it's just a quality management system. You have to say what you do and then do as you say. I miss a do in my sentence somewhere. Okay. And that's just what you have to follow. And the handleiding there, that's Dutch for manual. Hand is something with manual, so you can get it. From the Guide Dog Fund, you get a manual how to raise the puppies, because they want to have them all in the same, trained in the same way, that when they go to school, they react to the same commands, they know where they are. And you can divert from your standard operating procedure in your manual or in this manual or in your quality management system. But what I encountered many times is that they want to divert to cut corners. They say doing things according to my quality manual is taking too much work, and we want to go to market and we want to sell this product. And you have to make your quality management system so that if you are diverting from your standard operating procedure, it's totally allowed, but you have to have a very good rationale why you do it. And usually it should be more work than just follow your quality management systems.
Michelle, anything to interject there?
You totally agree, don't you?
Yes, I do totally agree. I was actually texting Diana about being quoted as a great philosopher.
He first sent me a message on Premium saying I nearly spit out my drink.
I told her she's gonna have to watch this later. Yeah, so we actually, this is one thing that we put in all our proposals for new kind of startups that engages for regulatory strategy earlier rather than later, is we always include like what we call a phase 1 QMS that has like design controls, software controls, like everything that you need at this stage for a QMS. And we try to make it match as closely, you know, their development process as possible. So it's easy to comply with.
Sometimes you come into a position that nobody has a good answer. And I think it's a good philosophy to say, we have something, we know, we're not sure, maybe it's according to the regulation or maybe it's not, but are you willing to try this on your daughter, or are you more inclined to use it on your mother-in-law? And I think that's a good decision. If you say we know something, and maybe it's not according to the QMS, but we know it's perfectly safe, nothing will happen from it. Okay, we'll do it. If you think, well, please, I hope we're selling, but I hope nobody will die from it. Okay, then you're in big trouble. And during your design, you have your phases. And you have to look, and you have your decision moments. Like with the puppies, it's like, is she allowed to go to school or not? Or is she going to be a guide dog or not? And the same with your medical devices. So you have tried something, and you have your decision moment, go, no go. What I've seen a lot is that they build a decision on the amount of money and time they have already spent, instead of on the amount of money and profit they can make starting from the point of the decision. No, we go on with the project. We already put 200,000 in it. Yeah, that's not a rationale. That's more like feeling bad about how you done. Okay, what's also nice about a guide dog, that's labeling. Wieske has a exact same jacket like this. And it says on the top, don't distract. And on the side, it says, I'm in training. Then we go to France, nobody can read it. Or somebody's approaching from behind and they don't read upside down. Or and you see that labeling of the thing is so important that
what a great analogy. It's just a very amusing analogy.
I tried my best for this.
It's a brilliant.
By the way, Jorg, while not shown on camera, is on this call, and well, there he is. You need to know that this entire presentation was inspired by your home improvement presentation.
And you mean the home deterioration presentation.
You know, the only thing from that, no offense, the only thing I really remember vividly from your presentation was like you having like 3 or 4 pieces of wood because you measured it and then you needed to compensate for it.
I mean, that's how product development works too, though, right? Except multiplied by thousands in terms of the number of decisions and issues that you find when you're doing a development. So it's kind of the same.
But oftentimes there's not enough room on the label. Like here too, you should have a traffic sign with a hand stop, don't touch or something. And it happens in medical device development also. So you have something and you have some place for a label, and then you see what you have to put on it. That is a barcode or 2 barcodes, an address, some pictograms. And sometimes you don't have enough room. And then you have to make a decision what will be on there. And we think it should be identifiable as your product coming from your company. And if it has a serial number or something like that, it should be identifiable as well. And that you can see what kind of product it is. But sometimes you go to the test house and say that's not acceptable. You know the cows in Europe, they have these ear tags, these cow flaps, just to identify the cows. It's terrible, but that's how it is. And you go to the test house and say, well, you can make a label around the cable, and you have this cow flap around the cable, and then you have plenty of room. But then suppose you have a medical device with 20 cables and you wear it on your body. It's not comfortable to have all these labels in the way. So it sometimes gets a lot. If you don't have enough room on the label, you have to go to your test house first. Is this acceptable or not? And then a lot get lost in translation or culture. Like, now we have to, let's see if can you show that little movie? Because I was inspired by your 10X talks where you have the interludes with the short movies. And I have something, it's not from a movie, but from a television series. So
yes, I mean, I don't know what you want me to show.
Well, you have to get the presentation off and then show the.
I think you can.
I can? Okay.
I think so. Was it the word visuals?
Okay, I stop sharing and then I share again and then.
Just make sure that you're sharing your screen and not the presentation so that whatever you're showing on the screen will be what we see.
Yeah, just a moment. I have to, but my screen is also with very, how do you say it? Secret documents.
I see.
It's my work laptop. This.
Okay.
Okay.
If there's a link you want to put in the chat, I could play it.
No. I can share it now. Okay. Share screen. Screen. You see something coming up?
We do.
Okay, I hope the sound is working.
Okay, let's give it a try.
You know where it's from? Which series?
Yeah, it's
Okay,
Do you have sound?
hear it.
Ted Lasso.
yeah, it's Ted Lasso. Yeah.
Ted Lasso. You have sound?
We don't, but there's only like 8 seconds of it, so tell us what they're saying.
They're saying you have to be a goldfish. And goldfish, yeah, because goldfish don't remember the bad things and they go on the next day for the good things. And then there's this blonde guy. He's saying, again. He's saying, but I didn't do any bad things. You did bad things. And then everybody says, whoa. Everybody says, oh. And then there's the other guy says, yeah, don't worry. This is Jan Maas. He's Dutch. He's not being impolite. He's just being Dutch. And everybody says, okay, that's nice. Because the Dutch people are always so blunt and so. We go on with the presentation. It's a pity. You have to look at the Ted Lasso series.
Okay.
I guess it's because the microphone is coupled to the presentation and you cannot show the sounds from.
It's a great series if you haven't watched it.
And it won't
really
work in
funny.
Europe. The things they show about soccer are so way off reality.
It's really funny.
Yeah, it is funny.
And I don't say that lightly. Most things are not good.
But regarding labeling, there's a difference in culture and language. Like we had some people from China over, and you ask, "Do you understand?" And they say yes, but they only say yes because it's very impolite to say no to a senior person. And then you're 2 weeks later, and they didn't understand zilch of it. So, and it's not the fault of the Chinese person or my fault. It's just the clash of cultures. You don't understand each other that well. And same is, maybe I already told it, it's in the 60601 standard, which is officially in English and in French. And there are slight differences between the two, especially if they say something, if you short circuit any or all thing on board, then you have to say it's still safe. But in French, it's in English you can pick any of the things you can short circuit. But in French it says you have to short circuit everything. And if everything is short circuited, there's no danger at all because everything is short circuited to Earth. It won't work. So in the English version you have a problem. In the French version you don't have a problem. We go to the test
Play your
house
clip now. I can play your clip.
Okay. With sounds?
To forget our mistakes and failures and just move on. But I didn't make any mistakes. Only you played poorly. Hey guys, Jan Maas is not being rude. He's just being Dutch.
Yeah, we're not being rude. We're just being Dutch. Yeah. Well, especially Delft engineers are known to be very blunt.
I like blunt. I like blunt.
I also prefer it. It's efficient.
We say we're direct.
I like it.
What also is a problem that I mean, it says labeling with an L in between because in I think in American English it's with one L and in English, UK English, it's with double L. But labeling in the legal sense is all your things you say about your product, including your marketing material and your manual. That's all called labeling, but something different than the label. And that gives a lot of frustration also for people who are doing labeling. So, yeah, but it's not that's nothing to do with the label. Yeah, but labeling is also about your marketing material. And then pictograms, they're very important. The beautiful device I showed you, that was milled out of aluminum, they had it anodized and then with blueprint anodized the pictograms. But the pictogram for reading a manual, it's mandatory. That's the reading guy in blue. That blue and white are REL colors. So you have to have the right REL color on your pictogram. So that device was sent back, and it was so beautiful, anodized the pictogram, and they have to put a sticker on it with the right colors. There goes your beautiful product. And they should have known up front. I mean, a good engineer tells them up front that some things that work. A good engineer can tell you that if you have an accessory to your device and the usage of the accessory speaks for itself, you cannot do anything wrong with the accessory. I mean, the connector is only is Pogo Yogo. So it can only get there in one position. Nobody gets hurt when it's lying around. Then you don't need a manual for the accessory. And the advantage of that is that in the European law, an accessory is a product in itself. So it needs its own instructions for use, and it needs to be translated in every language for in your European market. So you can have a device that's really cheap to make, but then you pay thousands of dollars on manuals and translations for manuals. And then you get a little change in your product and you have to change all your manuals again. So if you could make your accessory in a way that you don't need your manuals, then you're set. And then somebody said, yeah, but we still want to say something about the device itself. Okay, you can add a data sheet to it, which only states facts. And you state as a fact that it won't go, you won't break it with a soft damp cloth or any cleaning material. So you don't give instructions how to clean it. You say it can resist the cleaning materials. Then you're set. You don't have to translate it anymore. Biocompatibility and sterile. That's also a lot. I've seen so many products that, like with ECG cables, you put your connectors to your body, and then the cables hang down on your body and they touch your skin. And they say, oh, the cables must be biocompatible and it's hard and it's expensive. And no, it's not true, because the cables don't have an intention to come in touch with your body. It's only the electrodes. I mean, if you like, you can put a Band-Aid on you can put a biocompatible Band-Aid on your body and put your cable onto the Band-Aid. And then you don't have to touch it. But it's a bit awkward then, because with Band-Aids put on skin, 5% of people get irritation from that kind of stuff. So you're probably farther from home than just letting the cable touch your skin. But only for things that have to touch your skin to function, they have to be biocompatible. Then there's also the thing that if you have applied parts and that are not, they don't have, maybe, no, I have to rephrase it. In your risk management, you have to do an evaluation that some parts that touch your body should be considered applied parts and have to comply to all the things that are in the regulation and the standards for that. But usually it's not that important. For sterile products, we had much fun with a vaginal probe that you shove in a dark place, and then you measure with electrodes the pelvic muscles. And it's a serious product. Our client said it must be sterile. Well, the place where you put it is not sterile at all. So it doesn't have to be sterile. What in fact they wanted was something that comes from a package that you can see that it's not used before on another person, then it's cleaned and then it's used. Because the way we made the sterile product was we made it sterile, and then the whole logistic chain wasn't sterile at all. So when it came to the end customer, if you took it really seriously, you should scrap all the products because it didn't have a sterile chain. So what you're looking at here is normal dog behavior, what they do with leader of the pack. It's a sign of affection or maybe she had some jelly on her chin, and that's also nice to get off your chin. Usually the tongue of a dog is cleaner than the cleaning cloth you use in your kitchen on the counter. But still, for a guide dog, they don't have to lick your face or any other body parts. So we train them not to lick, although it's normal normal dog behavior. And I come to the last slide. So Wieske is going to school on Tuesday. So that's another reason I can't attend to 10X, unfortunately. And there's only one authority, and that's the person who does the testing and approving. It counts for the dogs. It also counts for your medical device. You can make your medical device, say, with all kind of consultants, and you have to look at this and that, and then you go to the test house, and then the test engineer says, that's not acceptable. It's life-threatening. It's whatever. And he's the guy who approves or disapproves your product. So my advice is always, if you start developing a medical product, medical device, from day one, get a voucher for some hours of consulting from your test house and from your notified body. The test house cannot advise you how to do things, but what you can do is go to the test house, say what your proposal is, what you want to do, and ask, is this acceptable to you? And get it in black and white back on the mail. So then you can say it's acceptable to you for the test house, and you can go on. What we have done is, at TMSI, we did the first thing wrong. We had a totally finished product, go to the test house, and they say it's not acceptable. Then we had to redesign a finished product. Then the housing was already injection molded and bought in 100,000 parts. So we had to do a new design in a housing that really didn't fit. It was a disaster. So then the next time we went to the test house first, can we do it in cooperation? So every step was set, we do it this way, do you agree? Yes, we agree. And then we had a nice finished product. Then for the next product, we thought, well, okay, we went to the test house, now we don't know how to do it. To be sure, we just took a voucher for hours of consultancy anyway, and we went with our design, and they say, no, it's not acceptable, it's life-threatening, I said, what the heck? I mean, a year ago you thought it was okay. And said, yeah, but it's we have new insights, and we are more strict, and so we had to invent new solutions to the problems that were there. But because we were already there at the beginning of our design project process, it didn't cost too much, and we were able to do everything what's possible. The first line, it says, go to consult with your test house, because the only person with the testing approving is the one who holds the gun. But you can also bring a bigger gun, and then you have to go to the people who make the regulations or the law. Like for the 60601, you go to Leo Eisner, because he's been on the committee. And if you bring Leo Eisner on your team and go to the test house and say, test house, you say it must be this way, but I have an authority here that's way beyond your authority, and then you have a big chance to win. We also went to some people of the technical committee 42 who makes the standard, and say, we want to do it this way, is that allowable? And we expected him to say yes, but he said no, but he is allowed to give advice. He said, if you do it this way, it is allowed. And we went with this to the test house, and he said, okay, under protest, we accept it. But then it's accepted. And then you have your product on the market, and then you have to try to sell as much as possible. And then you have your guide dog on the market, and it works for hopefully 10 years. that's my story.
And it was a lovely story. And it was beautifully illustrated. Do we have any questions relating to the topic? Because I have questions relating to the dog, of course.
Okay.
All right. And then, oh, Martin, yes?
Ideal house dog.
Question it's sort of related to the topic and the dog.
Okay.
Ask the dog.
Do you have such things as adverse events with guide dogs?
Adverse events?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how are they reported?
No, they're not reported. I mean, a guide dog can have an experience. Like the first dog we trained, we went in Leiden in an alley, and there was this organ, and we were walking by, and it started to play, ring, ding, 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 and even we scared, and the dog was scared, and we tried to go back with the dog, and we petted the organ, nice organ, nothing wrong with the organ, but she still, that dog still had an antipathy for organs. If she saw an organ 500 yards away, she would make a diversion. The same can help with guide dogs that are in service. So they can scare of something that makes them unsuitable to work anymore. And then, okay, then retire early. There's nothing you can do about it. You can try to retrain them or do your best. But so those are the adverse events.
All right. My question is, how did you get involved in this program? Do you get paid?
No, but it's all free. So the vet costs are free, the food is free,
Bring us back to you. We see the sleeping dog in your foot.
Yeah, but I can give her a Wieske. Sit. Zit. Okay. Wieske mand. Okay. Helemaal mand. Okay. So that's the place where she has to go if we're eating. And then she stays there until we're finished. And she goes with me in meetings, and then she's totally quiet. And then the meeting is over, and then some people say, I didn't know there was a dog present. That's the way how you want it.
If the doorbell rings, she won't bark.
She now has barked 7 times, single barks in 1 year, something like that.
How did you learn
she normally won't bark.
How did you learn the skill to train a dog? My son's going to college for it. He's going to
Does
be
he bark?
a behavioral trainer. My Lucas. He's getting a 4-year degree and a Bachelor of Technology as a canine behavioral trainer.
He probably will be beyond even the trainers that train the guide dogs here. So
Is it good money in that? Should I send him to Netherlands to make some good
No,
money?
but we can make contacts that maybe he can do an internship there or something like that. That would be nice.
Be nice to get him out of the house. I mean, yes, let's follow up.
Let's follow up. And if you do a meeting, then the dogs are so good in non-verbal communication. I mean, she listens what I say, but some people say, well, my dog listens on 100 yards distance, and they say down, and the dog goes down. But what they actually do is they move their hands, they say down, and the dog sees that on 100 yards away, and they react on the non-verbal communication. I've tried it to do a command without noise, so just I say mimicking, and you say gestures, yeah. And she reads your lips. She is lips leading. It goes harder than with sound, but the dogs are so good in reading your body language. It's incredible.
On a related note, Nicholas Anderson, how are you doing with training your 6 humans?
They're doing all right. This one, hi, can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yes.
So this one, we've trained to go get huge things of grape juice.
He's nice.
So they're doing all right. And then one of the
Is that
twins
your
is
little
over here.
lady?
And yeah, this is Lady. She just got up and she is unrobed. But yeah, she goes and gets juice, and then I have to go get her juice. And
And which of your brood are you bringing with you next week?
none of them.
I thought you were
No.
bringing your son.
No, Holly needs their help. While I'm gone, she needs the 2 older kids to help run the 3 younger kids. So yeah, it's just me.
It's funny.
Yeah,
I thought it was going to be a father-son thing.
I wish.
Hmm.
Yeah, I wish. Next year.
Yes.
Are you going for more children, Nicholas?
No, we're all done.
No.
Yeah, the factory's closed.
I
So-
wanted to have 10 children, but then my wife said not for me. And then I said it doesn't have to be necessarily only from you, but then it gave a row. I still don't understand women, I guess.
And
Yeah,
then
10
you
kids.
learned that she had secretly taught the dog to sit.
No.
Alex, you had something?
Hi, Alex. Oh.
Hey guys, no, I just I missed the up to the panel thing before, so I don't
You
have.
raised your hand.
It's because I was out in the audience.
User error.
User.
Okay. Well, you were
Now,
going to introduce us to
Now
some of
Joe
the
is going
folks
to
in
say
your
we're at the top
program.
of the hour and that we're going to finish this meeting, but you can stay on as long as you like.
You probably have to go. Well, for those of you I get to see next week, I know most of you are huggers. That's good. If there's some kind of COVID hugging restriction that you have to let me know in advance. And for those of you who just really couldn't be bothered, Andrea, Elizabeth,
That's not true.
I know.
Have a great time.
Have a
Yeah.
wonderful time.
We will.
I do have FOMO as well, so.
Good. Okay, well,
Will you have
I'm
some
flying in on Monday,
presentations
very
online?
late. Sorry, what?
Will you have some presentations online or you have to be there?
No, I'll recording everything. I'm not streaming live. That's not the plan right
Okay.
now.
Mhm.
How are you?
But I'm really looking forward to the keynote with Mick. He's asked not to give a formal presentation, but rather just an interview. There are 2 folks in the sleep industry flying in or driving in specifically for that. So it'll be interesting to hear what they have. I've spoken to them both this week and they're like, can you? I'm like, just come, Can you get me an hour with them? You overestimate money. So it'll be interesting. Okay, folks, looking forward to next week. And
Have a wonderful
today
time.
we will talk
Have
about
a great event.
Yeah.
we'll
Thank
talk about what you missed, those of you who couldn't come live. Yeah, I know. You have a big week coming up too, Luke. So love to Whiska and the family. And the new dog is named?
Ulfie.
Spell that.
Ulvie.
Ulvi.
Ulvie. Yeah, I don't like the name either, but
What does it mean something?
I don't know. It's like the female from Ulf.
Fair enough, ladies and gentlemen. See you next week. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.